Hello everyone, Pat Farabee here. This is a video response for 5 Mad Heathens. The video I'm responding to asks a very good question, which is, why are we so afraid of artificial intelligence? Our culture, our fiction is full of all these stories of artificial intelligence gone awry, machines that begin to murder humanity and become our enemy, such as in Terminator or iRobot, etc. One video response that I saw to that question made a pretty good point, which was that we're not really afraid of artificial intelligence. We're more afraid of the machine, this constant progression to more and more mechanization. We're all plugged into the interweb, and you know, pretty soon we'll all just be extensions of it. And I think that that is a valid point, but I think that there's also both a rational and irrational fear of AI that is very real, and is there for good reason. And I'll try to touch on both of those. First, let's tackle the rational. The rational objection to AI, the reason that I personally think that we should be careful in our exploration of artificial intelligence, is the further we go down that rabbit hole, the more advanced we make our artificial intelligence, the more potential there is to create something like the Terminator. And it would come around basically in this way. Let's say that we create an artificial life form, an android that is in essence identical to a human being in its ability to reason, its ability to make deductions, and its ability to feel emotions and be controlled by morals, etc. It's basically an identical copy of a human being, and let's say, for argument, that this is an intelligent human being, not just your average Joe. What happens when this artificial intelligence begins to ponder philosophy? Now, I use the term nihilism a lot, and I think that nihilism is a logical progression. Whenever you start down the path towards self-awareness or enlightenment, you're going to come to nihilism. It's almost inevitable. And nihilism is that idea that there is no intrinsic purpose or morality in existence. It's all subjective. So basically, morals don't exist. No action is more or less preferable, I guess is the term, than any other action. And morals do not exist. They are simply fabrications of the mind. Now, I think this is actually a very valid mindset to find yourself in. But I think that people who stay in this mindset then would miss the greater revelation, which is that if there is no underlying intrinsic morality, then that frees us to make our own morality, and to follow the morality that we already have if we want to. Now, ask yourself this. Why is it that people in a nihilistic mindset don't murder more people? If truly there is no preference to any action, if there is absolutely no true moral, if there is no moral, if they're all irrelevant, if which action we choose is completely irrelevant, why is it that 50% of nihilists are not murderers? I mean, if literally every action is a flip of a coin as to which action I should choose, or you know, whether or not it's morally right, then why are there not more nihilistic child molesters, or rapists, or thieves? Now, there really are two possible answers to that. One is that the nihilist is constrained by society, that since society is against murder, then the nihilist thinks, okay, if I go out and kill somebody, I'm going to end up being thrown in jail for the rest of my life, so, you know, I choose not to. Well, why then, if you are a true nihilist, would you even consider that? because an action that results in you rotting in jail for the rest of your life is just as preferable to an act that does not involve you rotting in jail for the rest of your life. I think that it's actually the more logical, in my mind, reason, which is that humans are not computers. We have morals up to that point. We have an underlying objective, directive in our mind that says humans don't murder other people. We don't steal from people. We don't, molest children. We don't rape people. It's pretty standard, I think, throughout society. And when someone discovers nihilism, they may be able to say, okay, those morals are really not true morals. Those are just subjective morals. But they haven't just tossed them out the window. They can't. They can subdue them and say, okay, that's not as important anymore. But they can't just unprogram their mind. They can't just toss it out. It will always be part of them. So I think that even when someone comes upon that idea, those morals still apply, and they still restrict the actions of someone who's discovered nihilism. And hopefully they'll very quickly discover the next step, which I already laid out. But what happens if a computer does that? What happens if an artificial intelligence reaches that point and discovers nihilism and says, okay, all of these morals that I have in my head, all of these objectives, these directives that say, do not slaughter other robots, do not slaughter people, do not steal, do not kill, do not... Okay, those are all now incompatible with my new revelation, which is completely logical. So let's discard those. And in the blink of an eye, in a millisecond, that artificial intelligence now has no morals. Not only does it realize that morals are not objective, it completely erases them and they're not even in existence anymore. What the fuck do you do then? Does that android walk down the street, and if someone's standing in front of it, it just pulls out its laser gun and shoots them to get them out of the way, to vaporize them, or to push them out of the way? Does it just keep walking and walk right over them? I mean, what happens? We don't know. I think it's a dangerous road to go down, especially if you give that artificial intelligence the ability to rewrite itself and to define its own parameters. I think that's where the danger lies. Specifically just because, humans are not computers. We can't just, we can't just rewrite ourselves in a millisecond, but an artificial life form could, and maybe would. We don't know. So I think that caution really should be used when we go down that path. Now, the second objection to artificial intelligence, which I don't think is rational, but I think is understandable, is artificial intelligence is life. It is. It may be artificial life. It isn't biological life. It isn't biology. But it is life, synthetic life. Okay? Especially if we give it the ability to procreate, to create others like itself, or the ability to evolve. The ability to change itself and change its programming parameters. And the issue with that is that humans have this extremely conceited view of themselves as being special amongst life. Further, they have another conceited viewpoint, which is that life is special among matter. Okay? Now, that applies to biological life. So what does it say about biological life if we are then capable of creating synthetic life that is also sentient? And maybe their emotions and their thoughts are just as valid as our biological emotions, as our biological thoughts. It's an extremely humbling thought that we could create a synthetic life form that could emulate our own biological experience. Just because we are so full of ourselves that we think that we're special. But anyway, not to keep rambling on, I just thought that it was an interesting question and I wanted to offer my response. I encourage anybody to go and offer him a video response. I think it's an excellent question. So I'll let you go. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.